One key component of e-commerce is communication with your customers, especially email communication regarding their orders. In Ecwid, these emails can be managed under Settings, in Mail, and you'll see we have a variety of notifications, both for customers and for administrators, and a few other settings that we'll get to. Just a brief overview of these. For customer notifications, order confirmations are the emails that they receive simply when they place an order. Order status changed are notifications they would receive when the status of an order is changed from something like awaiting payment to paid, or canceled, or refunded. Order shipped is pretty self-explanatory. Successful registration is a notification they receive when they simply register on your website. Password reminder is pretty self-explanatory, and download e-goods is a notification that they receive when a digital order they've purchased is ready for them to download. You can see that we can disable any of these, except for password reminder for obvious reasons. So let's say that on our store, just for example, we want to keep all of these enabled, except we don't think it's so important, hypothetically in our case, that customers are notified when their order status is changed. So we might disable that, and our customers will not receive these emails. If we scroll down to see admin notifications, these are emails that you or the administrator of your store would receive in regards to things taking place on your site. You see the two types of notifications we have here are when a new order is placed. This can be very helpful, but if you're running a high traffic store, this can start to clutter up your inbox pretty quickly. So if you have a high traffic store, which let's just imagine we do, you'd probably want to disable this notification. Of course, low stock notifications will let you know when an item of yours is low on stock. That's usually good to keep enabled. You can see that we also have the option to edit any of these emails. Now, let's take a look at order confirmation. What happens when we click to edit that? For the most part, you should only edit these emails if you're familiar with HTML. However, there is some customizing you can do here, even if you don't know anything about HTML. So, again, if you don't know what HTML is, or if you're not familiar with how to use it, then a lot of this probably just looks like gibberish to you. And you would also probably know not to just go around selecting random lines of code and deleting them. You're going to mess something up, obviously, if you start playing around with things that you don't understand. But there are other areas where you can tell that it's text that's clearly going to be visible to the customer, such as, we have received your, insert your store name, order. We can also tell by the color in this code editor, this dark gray text, this is text that the customer is actually going to see, whereas this colored text is HTML code that essentially defines the organization and the appearance of your email. So even if you don't know HTML, you could see something like hello customer name, and it's pretty clear that if you type hi here, you're not messing anything up. You're just changing the readable text that the recipient of the email is going to see. So we might change from hello to hi just to make it sound a little bit friendlier, and click Save Changes, and we'll take a look at the preview of this in a second. But just so that you're aware, if you are comfortable editing HTML, then of course you have the ability to do so freely here. Of course, as always, you want to be careful when doing so, but you're free to edit the HTML in any way you desire. Note that if we click this View Template Documentation link, this page gives us a list of available variables that we can use in our email template. Now, if you don't know what this means, you can safely ignore all of this without any problem. If you do know what it means to use a variable in your email template, however, then you'll know what to do with them, and this just provides another way for you to customize your notifications. But for us, we're just going to change that hello to hi and go back. And then you've probably noticed we have a drop-down button next to our edit button. You can preview any of these notifications. So let's preview the one that we just edited. And you can see up here, it says hi, customer's name, instead of hello, just as we changed it. And this, in general, is what the email is going to look like. We can go back. We can also send a test email, and it will send that email to the administrator so you can make sure it looks okay, not just in the preview on Ecwid, but actually when it appears in an email inbox. And then down below our notifications, we have mail settings. First, we have mail addresses here. From online store to customers, and then from Ecwid to your admin email address. If we click change here, we can change these things. So for customer notifications, which is if we click Save Changes again, that's what this first line refers to. For customer notifications, we can change the name that appears in the from line. So not the email address, but the actual name. You will probably want to change this from online store to usually the name of your store. Or you could even change it to your own name. You could do first name or first and last name. Whatever you want, but online store is a bit vague and perhaps even a little bit spammy looking. So I would recommend in most cases using your store's name unless there's a specific reason you don't want to. Then store email, this is the email address that'll show up as the from email address. So you can change this if you want it to be something else. And then for admin notifications, you can simply change the email address that those are sent to. So maybe you've set up your store, but you have someone else receiving administrative notifications. You can change this email here or add other emails by simply adding a comma and typing in a new email address. For us though, we're only going to change the from name. Of course, you want to click Save Changes when you're done with this to make sure the changes actually take place. Then we have a couple more things we can play around with. Send a copy of customer notifications to the admin. This is another option you'll probably want to disable for stores with high activity. This is simply, as it says, whenever a customer receives a notification, if this is enabled, then it will also send that same notification, or rather a copy of that same notification, to the administrator. So if you don't want to receive those, just disable that. And then you have the option here to show powered by Ecwid notice in the bottom of your notifications. By default, that's enabled. You can disable this if you want. A good reason to keep that enabled would be so that people know what platform you're using. This can be helpful to build trust, so they know it's not just running on something that some junior web developer just threw together and maybe the platform isn't entirely secure. If they know it's run on Ecwid, then that's likely to boost their confidence in your store and in the security of your store when they receive these emails. Finally, we have the option to upload a logo for mail notifications. This is typically an important thing to include. This does a few things. First off, when you include your store's logo, that does a few very helpful things. First off, it catches the recipient's eye when they're viewing the email. Second, when they're reading the email, it also gives the recipient an instant visual recognition of where and who the email came from. And finally, it also helps to establish your store branding. So let's upload a logo here. We'll click Online Store here, then find the file we want to use. And now we have a logo for our mail notifications. And if we go back up and preview any of our emails, we'll look at the order confirmation again. Then we'll see that logo up here in the top corner.